Good morning, everyone. This is Tim from the Word of Life Church. Wanted to come on this morning and hit a few of the news articles that's coming down the line today. Hope everyone's having a good morning. I know it's kind of cold and kind of gray and almost looks like snow. Oh, we don't need none of that. But as we always say, this is the day the Lord hath made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. And that's not just empty words. We do rejoice and thank the Lord for the day that He has given us. But even though we don't like snow, and not anymore. As a child, I loved it, but when you got to grow up and you got to shovel the stuff, yeah, it's not too fun. Anyway, let's go ahead and just jump right in. Our first story comes from some people from Judicial Watch, which is a kind of like a watchdog type group that oversees and watches the stuff that's going on with, like, say for instance, like the Clinton email scandal and all, stuff of that nature. The title of this is Judicial Watch uncovers new State Department records confirming, and this is what we've been talking about the last 5, I think, news updates. We've talked about this and mentioned this. Says State Department records confirming Arab smuggling cells Al-Qaeda leader in Mexico. And we go there. And this is one way they get to where they go, and then we handle the rest when they come across the border. This doesn't include the one just coming over by plane, via a government transport or our military type transport. It says for more than a decade, the U.S. government has known that Arab extremists are entering the country through Mexico. No big surprise. We know that's going on. We know that's been going on. It's when there for the longest time they said to leave certain areas of the border alone. Do not enforce it. How much more evidence do people need? Oh, that's just you're just against the Obama administration, and you got this, and you're a conspiracy, and no, go back and look at the news articles. They said do not attempt to stop anybody coming across the border. Leave these areas of the borders alone. Don't touch them. Stand down, basically, is what they said. That happened. Go back and look. That's what our government did. So now, before get to that point, they get to this, and then that's when they come across. But it says, according to State Department records obtained by Judicial Watch, that Ramil among them was a top Al-Qaeda operative wanted by the FBI. So this is even some of the smuggling operation and networks that do this. They specialize in providing the logistical support for the Arab individuals attempting to enter the U.S. As we said, no big surprise there. We knew the many ways that they were getting in. Of course, the worst way is actually our government just bringing them in on military or governmental jets. They don't bring them in commercial jets. Too much could, that would raise too many flags. So just bring them over here in secret, or let them come through this way. They're flooding here, and people. I don't know. I think if we could actually put a number to the actual terrorist cells, ISIS, cells, the ones that's been here, actually even prior, before ISIS rose up and started causing damage after all the weapons that we left them over there in the Middle East. We would be probably shocked if we could put a number to the many terrorist cells here that could be activated right at a moment's notice, all at the same time, and then do whatever damage they're going to do. I think it's only by the grace of God that this has not happened yet. Do I think it's going to happen? Well, I've been ever since, even we're just a few short days technically into the new year, even up to last year, 2015. Just because some of the stuff that's been going around and coming on the line with the news and stuff like that, I'm getting very concerned. I'll say this way: I'm getting very concerned about 2016 in many different areas. One of them being this. It's like once they get a number, and it's not like we just have to worry about ISIS terrorist cells here. We've got to worry about foreign troops on our soil to enforce a martial law type situation. Probably a lot of people that are going to scoff at that and think that it couldn't happen. Well, all these other countries think that couldn't happen. Well, it happened. Started with erosion of their rights and everything, and ended up with some of the same symptoms, we'll call it, as we see right now. One of them being gun confiscations. We're not there yet, but they're salivating so much over the thought of being able to grab every one of our guns and everything. Because an armed people can resist, and that's exactly what they want. They want us to be totally unarmed, so we can fight against a tyrannical government. That was the whole basis for the Second Amendment anyway. It wasn't duck hunting or anything like that. It was meant the people to be able to stand against the evildoers. I mean, our government should have it. But I know it's not this way, but our government should exist to, of course, serve the people, us, and to punish evildoers. But that's not how they operate. That's they're like, well, we're in charge and we tell you what we think that you need and everything. That burns me, infuriates me. But what can you do except really pray? You can't run all these people out. You can't go up to Washington and kick everybody out of Washington that you don't like, even though that would be awesome to do. And we would, I'd say a lot of patriots and people like that would like to do that. Now, before anybody accuses me of being something like that, I'm not. I'm a patriot because I believe of an American freedom, but I'm not a member of any type of, a militia or any type of group like that. I'm just me. I'm just sitting there delivering the news that's out there, that's been researched, the stuff that I've seen, stuff that other people have researched, and we're just here to report to you and also to preach the gospel, because all this stuff and the eventuality is not going to matter, because we're not going to be here anymore. All these things are going to be passed away, and behold, all things become new. There's going to be a new heavens and new earth. We just got to deal with this stuff while we're down here. And as I said, a lot of the stuff can be troubling, and I'll be honest with you. Sometimes, even though this is part of my calling to be a watchman, okay. You guys have known that for, I mention that quite a bit, but I just like to be up front and say, hey, look, this is what I do. This is what the Lord, led me to do. And there are times I look at this stuff and think, and get really kind of overwhelmed a little bit thinking about it and seeing the different things. I mean, it's just not just one thing. It's several different things coming together, and it just keeps repeating itself over and over. Some of this stuff. It's easy to get a little bit overwhelmed thinking about it. I was kind of that way the other day, thinking about just seeing everything that's going on in this new year, and some of the things that are being primed to happen this year. Kind of gets you. It'll bring you down just a little bit, but the Lord, He gives you a refreshing and kind of renews you. And this is, hey, look, son, you just do what I tell you to do. Tell people about this, spread the word. Talk and witness to people. Seek and save that which is lost, destroy the works of the devil, and I'm gonna take care of the rest. And even if that, you'll be in heaven. You're going to be with me, and all this. As I said, all this other stuff is going to pass away, and we won't have to worry about it anymore. We don't have to worry about any terrorism or any the things that are going on right now. And that's just this stuff. And then talk about this one example. We're right now we're in the birth pains, and it's speeding up. Earthquakes in various places. Multiple things going on. This is just kind of the, like I said, I got the point that as far as like reporting all the earthquakes, at one point I just stopped because there are so many each and every day. You would not believe the speed, and if you check back. Now I know people will say, well, we can see them, but we've got the Richter scale, and we've got sensors, and we can detect them. Well, that's true, but even with that, they have increased, and we've noticed it. It's went from this number to this number way up here. To show, that shows that's one of the earthquakes in diverse places. That's one of the signs of the day. Pestilences, famines, a whole slew of stuff. So anyway, having said that to say this, we might get trouble over some of these things. As I said, if you're a Christian that's grounded, as far as having your mind and your heart guarded, having your spiritual armor on and everything, you can digest this information and spread it around about people, make people be aware, and be that warrior, be that watchman, and even though there may be some kind of apprehension, would be a good word for it. I'm not talking about really fear, because the Lord has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind. I hope that a lot, especially here lately with all the stuff going on. But most people cannot listen to this information. If they do, they're troubled, and the spirits of the depression and oppression will come upon them, and some people are almost inconsolable. You just want to sit and say, well, if everything is just getting ready to blow up, I'm just going to sit here and just let it happen, and who cares? I'm just going to sit here and die. Just let everything happen. Well, people, we got work to do. We just can't sit here and wait for all the stuff that's coming down the line. We've got stuff that we need to do. There's people out here that we need to talk to, witness to. So, am I getting ready to say when the time's coming, when the Lord's coming? No, because I don't know that. No one knows that. I'm just saying the stuff is starting to pick up more and more steam every time. Maybe we've got another year before things really, really just hit home. Maybe a couple years, 3 years. I don't know. It's whenever it's in the Lord's time that He's going to allow these things. When He pulls back the restrainer, all this stuff is going to come forth like a flood. Okay. So at any rate, having said all that, we're just talking about the smuggling cells. As I said, we know, but we've been talking about that, and how many times, guys, have we mentioned that in the last, I don't know, 10 maybe news updates about smuggling terrorist cells into the U.S. Via our government, and now through Mexico, leaving the leaving the borders wide open. But that's exactly what they're doing. You know, you can sit there and fight with me and, stick your fingers in your ears. No, no, that's not what happened. No, no, I don't want to hear it. No, 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 no. and, act like a child as far as that goes. Nobody likes to hear bad stuff, but people get ready. Excuse me. We're getting ready to see some pretty wild and, in a lot of cases, some bad stuff. I mean, that's just stuff that we're going to have to go through to get to the end. It's in God's Word that we're going to have to go through these things. So you might as well work it out in prayer with the Lord, become strong in the Spirit, excuse me, in your walk with the Lord. That way you can deal with these things as they come along. It's not going to be pretty. But the Lord will take care of us. And, I always still fall back on, the Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego before they were being thrown in the fire. They said, that they were, that God would deliver them. But if he didn't, they knew that he could if it was in his will to do so. But either way, they weren't going to bow. They weren't going to bow their knee to any false god or idol or anything. They were still going to hold their faith in God to the very end. So right there shows you that faith. That is the excuse me, that now faith that you've got to have. No matter what, you're going to stand for God, even though there's a possible chance that you could lose your life. You got to serve God anyway. Excuse me. Pardon me. Sinuses. So let's move on here. A lot of excuse me. A lot of talk about the end and erosion of the middle class in here in America. That's been talked about for a long time, and that's one of the things of the elite that they're trying to do. They want them to be up here, and they want everybody else to be down here. They don't want anything else in between. They want everybody to be lower class, poor, having to rely on the stuff that they'll put in place. That's something else that infuriates me. Thinking about that, all I want is slaves. They don't care who dies. They don't. You're nothing to them. You're about as worth about the same as a fly on the wall. That's as much as you're worth to them, because they don't care. They don't care to see you dead. Because they're illuminated. They're illumined ones. They follow the light bearer, Lucifer. I'm serious. That's the elite. That's what they believe, is that Lucifer is still the light bearer, and he is the actual, real, true God that's out there, and that Jehovah God is the one that doesn't want us to have any wisdom, mean knowledge. He's just a selfish God, and he's just going to lord over us. Well, I'm telling you, that's what the elite believe, and that's what they push, and they have a world agenda that's going on right now. What I just read you about the stuff about the jihad and everything like that, that's all part of the blueprint. And it's all part of the chessboard, and they're just moving pawns and, just moving stuff around. And, okay, people, if you don't want to believe it, don't believe it. But I'm going to say this. I'm not going to sit here and just tell an outright lie to you. I'd be responsible for what I say. I'm responsible for what I'm reporting right now and talking to you about. Responsible for what I'm teaching and preaching. So, the goal, there is a goal that the elite have, and that is a goal to get rid of the middle class, which they are almost doing. Things that's, they make everyone poor and lower class, all the poor, to do the work for them. And like I said, there's so many, several movies out here late that show that very thing. You know, there again, like we say always, Hollywood. You know, they have they're the elite and all this, the bad stuff. They have a tail, and most of the time it comes through Hollywood. If you have some movies that come out, but as I said, they do that a lot of times for a purpose, because when you mention it, something like this to someone, they're going to say, "Oh, that was in a movie, blank, blank, whatever it was, you know, fill in the blanks, whatever." And so that was just a movie. They didn't like that. So you know, that's a very simple tactic, psychological tactic that they do to make you think that there's nothing going on. No, that's just make believe. That's just a movie. That's just a book that so and so wrote and all that. I wish people could get in God's Word and do research on their own. Now I'll still come and report what I find, but it would be, you know, well, that would say, well, that's not my calling. Didn't mean it to be your calling to come and check stuff out and do research. I'm saying doing it for yourself to finally look at this stuff and say, wow, this stuff is real. This stuff is happening. God's Word is coming to pass. Surprise. Wow. So I encourage everyone, do your own research. But there again, you got to be careful about where you go and you know, the information that you look up and find, because there are some people out there that are just out there to cause stuff like that, to cause distrust and put a bunch of fake stuff up. You've got to know and understand where your sources come from and how accurate those sources have been in the past, or even talk to some people that's in the know, and you know, and say, okay, well, this is going to happen, and then it eventually happens. You know, what way do you mark what a true prophet is? A prophet of God and a false prophet. What's the difference between? The prophet's going to tell you something that God told him, and it will come to pass. Right? Amen? False prophet is going to say something that never comes to pass. You label him a false prophet, and you don't listen to him anymore. Anyway, let's move on. I don't know if everyone heard of Dave Hodges. He has a radio show and kind of well known in the conservative circles. Excuse me. He had a researcher on, and I apologize for my voice. I'm still dealing with sinus and stuff, so bear with me, please. Too much to really go into. I would like to, and actually there is a book that one of my ministers, we don't really have to even be called, well, sort of, yeah, maybe minister, but more of a researcher and everything, but a Christian, you know. But he wrote a book on the Hitler and the Nazi Empire, and I'm planning on getting it because there's some interesting stuff in it. And you got to remember the Nazi agenda is still very much in play. There's a lot of other stuff that I could say this, but to go with this, that will seem like people there again. It's going to be like, that can't be. So I'm not going to get anything right now. Once I get this book we're talking about, that's written by this one of my guys here, I'll do a kind of a news article and do a review of it, and kind of goes with the stuff that's going on in the world right now. Like I said, the Nazi agenda is still in full swing. Anti-Semitism is still, you know, everybody hates Israel. Everybody hates the U.S. But at any rate, that's one of the news articles. But I want to mention it, but I'm gonna skip on by that because that's a lot of stuff to go into. I want to be I want to have the backing of some of the more information before I really go into that. See, I don't want to go willy nilly into anything, as the old saying goes. I know it sounds silly, or with half information. I want to have the full picture before I go into something. It wouldn't be right to do otherwise. Excuse me. Toxic chemical discovered. Big surprise. In San Francisco's fog. Fog rolling in off the Pacific. Fukushima. Once again, we're talking about Fukushima. Brings iconic beauty of the fog rolling in off the Pacific brings iconic beauty to San Francisco, but scientists say it also carries with it something much less pleasant, toxic mercury. Once again, we're talking more on the lines of the Fukushima disaster in Japan that's killing all the life in the ocean. We're seeing, as I said, mass animal deaths because of that from Japan, in the Pacific. It's killing off. We're seeing that in land animals as well, and that's there again part of the last days of things coming. It's like whole herds of animals died that were okay, and then the next day every one of them laying out dead. Death unknown, no lightning strike, no poison, no nothing. So something pretty terrible is going on there. There's some people, in fact, one pastor I listened to, that believes that he's found a prophecy about that in the book of Hosea. I really have to dig into it and really look. I've lost over it before, because I trust him when he normally brings a news piece or talks about something. I believe him to be trustworthy, and I'm not saying that he's not being on this, but I just don't know if that what he's talking about in that book, the book of Hosea, actually is applicable to what's going on. It seems to be talking about mass animal deaths, and but I'll leave that off right there. Like I said, I'm gonna have to read it and meditate on that and think about that and see if it actually is, if it's applicable to what's going on right now. But I do know for sure, though, that Fukushima, the reactor that had a meltdown in Japan, is poisoning the waters and killing wildlife in the Pacific. That's without a doubt. It's not being reported on. Why is something like that huge not being reported on, except maybe in some news? You have an entire news page on the internet, and you scroll down so much, and in the very bottom you'll find a small little piece on it right there. Well, we don't want people to panic. You want them to get radiation poison and die? I think that would be a big yes in certain circles. Wouldn't you think so? People, I'm telling you. I tell you, 2016 is shaping up to be a wild year, and don't get me wrong, I hope we have longer. Well, for one thing, to gain more people. Am I saying that because I'm scared of death? No, I'm not scared of dying, because I know where my soul's going. It's going back to the Father, because Jesus Christ is my personal Savior. He saved me, and I hope He saved you as well, and that way you don't have to worry about it. But just in the normal, we still want to be around family and friends, and that's just being human. Okay, that's just being human. But in our spirit, we've grown to be released from this curse, from this, the flesh of death. we trust and believe the Lord has saved us, so we have nothing to worry about. But as I said, it's still human, kind of a survival thing that's really put inside of us. But we're on the Lord's time, so whatever His timetable is on it, it's fine, because we're serving Him. We're serving Him in spirit and walking in Him in spirit and in truth. We're to try to even gain those that even oppose themselves. That's another reason for us to stay around longer. But as I said, I don't know. I will try my best to keep an eye on things. The Lord can reveal stuff to me, to you, and if something needs to be put forth and said, okay, this is happening now, then we need to pay attention. Not because it's something that you said or something that I said. It would be, thus saith the Lord. This is going on right now, and you need to do whatever. Because see, if I'm at least bit out of kilter for some reason, and I report something that's kind of off, then I would come back on and apologize, say, okay, I thought this was going to happen, but this other thing happened. We got no problem with that. There's room for, I'm human, there's going to be room for error, just like with anyone else. But I'm very, very careful, and I don't say it very much. I'm very careful about saying something to the extent of thus saith the Lord, because at that point I'm, bringing a prophecy, and as I said, I'm very careful, because I don't want to be. I'm not going to be labeled a false prophet. I'm going to obey God, and what He tells me to speak about and talk about, preach, teach, whatever it may be, then that's what I want to do. Didn't mean to put myself in this right here. I'm just kind of telling that this goes along with what we're talking about, all the stuff that's going on this year that's coming. As I said, but don't walk in fear, because as I said, He's not giving us a spirit of fear. If we know we're saved and we're ready to go, how much better would it be for us to go on? I know we got people and we got friends and family that we go and witness to and try to get saved. I understand that, and that should be the goal, not the accumulation of more stuff and doing stuff and everything. And but the saving of other people, pulling back people back from the fire, because there's going to be enough that's going to go into hell in the eventuality anyway, and then to the lake of fire, said, with all nations that forget God. But anyway, let's move on here. Real-time currency collapse in Canada, and after that said, this is what's going to look like in the USA. This is what it's going to look like in the USA. Well, we had the other day the Chinese market saying don't buy any more US dollars. We had the Royal Bank of Scotland saying not to. They're saying the exact same thing. Now, there for the longest time, I didn't do very much and mention very much on the economy, just because about something that's so that fluctuates and goes one way 1 minute and then the next. And there again, it's puppets on strings, and they do that. That's what the world elite and the people that serve them, that's what they do. But there's more and more information being released in China, and that you do a look up on that about the Royal Bank of Scotland, what they said about the U.S. dollar, and China about the U.S. dollar. It's out there, unless they've yanked it, got it out of it. But there's been a lot of people that's already reported on it, and talked about it and have links to it and everything like that. So that's a little bit worrisome thinking about that, because as talking about if the bank ends up, every bank ends up shutting their doors because of of some type of problem, a total meltdown in the financial system. It doesn't matter if you could get to the bank and pull your money out anyway. It's going to be worthless. It's going to be It's going to be like Confederate dollars. It's going to be like little pieces of paper. You might as well use it to start a fire. I know it sounds gloom and doom, but it's happening, people. How do you think? A lot of the stuff is not sustainable, and we're seeing other countries stopping buying the dollar, like we talk about. That's countries that have collapsed because of it. We've had 2008. We had it, and everybody was miserable then. And that really wasn't anything compared to the huge, massive, planetary type situation that we're talking about. That's just going. I mean, everything's going to bomb. There's going to be stuff. See, so you can do a lot of things. Talking about the bad guys here. Excuse me. If you do something like that, everything else underneath kind of will fall into place. Crash the economy. Going to have people doing runs trying to get to the bank, even though at that point your money's going to be worthless. People that's going to do, getting wild trying to get it in the store to get food and water, and from that's when the martial law can be called. If we have extreme cases of civil unrest because of the economy has crashed, that's a lot worse than everything we've ever seen, even the Great Depression. That'll be a reason for them to signal and activate the martial law, which means, I think everybody knows what that means. That I believe there too. That's where a lot of the foreign troops that's on our soil training. And the terrorist cells. I think that that's where a lot of that's going to come in. Not very pleasant to talk about, but I'm still keeping an eye on it and watching it. But I tell you, more and more each day, hearing more and more about it. And there again, this is something I want everybody out there to do your own research on. Do your own research on the economy, and because unless they've taken down everywhere. You can find it out there still. And the last thing said about it was talking about the Royal Bank of Scotland, talking about a financial collapse and not buying the U.S. dollar. So do your own research on it. As I said, I'm not gonna lie to you, and if you can't find it, I'll try to find it again. But it was reported. There was other people that read it. I mean, saw the webpage. I saw the webpage talking about it, but it might be something that they would put out there and then they pulled it back, which they've done before. Give me just 1 second here. I'm going to bring this up. Bear with me. I'm trying to... the computer must be cold this morning. Not running strong. Well, and then we have pop-up ads. Love them. Okay. This is just the piece that's talking about about in Canada. They had a currency collapse. And it says the Canadians are panicking over food costs because of it. Let me read just this one part here. It's no secret that America has a serious inflation problem. No one will argue that. I would hope. It says though the Federal Reserve insists that our inflation rate is only at around 5%. What? We've all seen the price of food, rent, healthcare, and energy skyrocket over the past 10 to 20 years. And well, you're not kidding there. However, this has been a gradual shift. Canada, on the other hand, has just seen the price of everyday goods rise precipitously over a very short period of time. Okay, read that part because that's going to be another indication that something's getting ready to happen. Is if this stuff happens and start accelerating, the prices start. I mean, you're going to go in the store one day and look at something that normally costs about $2.50 or something like that. That's going to be like $10 or $15. I'm just using an example. It's going to be skyrocketing. That's a definite clue. I mean, that's a clue right there that anybody can look at and say, "Oh my goodness, okay, so this is happening now." That's kind of what we're talking about. What happened? Well, let's see here. I'll tell you what. For evidence of of how a currency collapse will play out, look no further than our northern neighbors. Talking about the Canadians. This is where Canadians are now paying $32 for a bottle of Tide, $15 for a box of Frosted Flakes, and $12 for a package of bacon. Yeah, you heard me right. Because of the currency collapse, this is what they're paying now. This is right on this. This is published. This is on the news site. Can you believe that? $32 for a bottle of Tide. So anyway, that's a very, very good example of what it's going to look like when it hits the U.S. dollar, which they're saying, oh, it's stronger than it has been in months. Well, I think that goes on with peace, and then sudden destruction comes. Okay, let's move on here. Good grief, I'm almost 45 minutes into this. More earthquakes, of course. No. Got about to the point I've stopped reporting on those because there's so many happen every day. California hospital becomes first in the U.S. to begin prescribing ingestible sensors. If anyone has been following that or seen, I've been seeing some news articles and people talking about that, but apparently they're rolling this out now. It's reality. Ingestible sensors, and they've named it Proteus, the device Proteus, which was the name of an ancient shape-shifting demon that can mutate the DNA of its host. And that's in scientific talk and terms, talking about that. According to what this, so you're saying there was actually something like that? Well, we know there's demonic spirits and know they have different functions, different abilities, still hailing from the side of darkness, but can do different things. But they're doing this because this ingestible sensor monitor and reports patients' personal information. It's the same deal they're trying to get by using the RFID chips. Or saying, well, we can put this and we can scan it and we'll know a person's history, medical history, if they're in a wreck and the ambulance comes and everything like that. See, they do it on the case of something good. Oh, see, this is something good. Take this mark in your hand or in your forehead, and hey, it'd be wonderful. We can get all the information that we can. If you're in a wreck, we'll be able to do all this and know this and everything like that. I'm being flippant about this, okay? I mean, but this is an actual news article. As I said, I've been seeing here lately about it's been coming for a while now. This ingestible sensor, this now started really hitting now. And that has something. I won't go into much of this, but one thing talking about the mark of the beast, I believe it's, and you guys have heard me say this before, I don't believe it's just one specific things. A lot of people said, even years ago, it's going to be something technological. It's going to be a microchip that's going to be implanted in you, or in your forehead, or your, hand, or the palm. That you do all this. I believe technology will have a role, and I've said this before, and you guys have heard me say this. I believe technology will play a certain role in the mark when it comes, whatever that's going to mean. But there's going to be other stuff with it. It's not just going to be one certain thing that makes it up. There are going to be several different things that make the end result of the mark. And I think this could be something like one of them, because once you take the mark, you guys heard me harp on this before. You take the mark, that's it. There's some people even preaching that you can take it and still go to heaven. Once you take it, it is a punch ticket directly to hell, because you have put your faith in the Antichrist and the beast system. And there's a change. There's some kind of a change that occurs to the point that you become ineligible for salvation. No ifs, ands, or buts. Nothing. What kind of change would something like this we're talking about do to you? If it changes your DNA to the point you become unsavable. You're saying, well, brother, what does DNA have to do with that? Well, when Adam and Eve sinned in the garden, we'll just put it this way: the death code entered our DNA, because before that it wasn't like that. Okay. We were made to add immortal body, and we're guaranteed we're going to have new bodies, once again glorified bodies. But something happened when that sin code entered our DNA, and from that point death was pronounced upon mankind. So I'm wondering what something like this will actually do to change us to the point that as I said, that salvation is no longer an option. You are condemned to hell in the lake of fire. So I'm thinking about, not going to go much into that, but that intrigued me when I saw that, just because of that very reason. I've been thinking here a lot, doing a lot of studying, doing a lot of research, and reading that the mark is going to be more than just an RFID chip that's being placed in your body. Even though that may be, as I said, part of it. That way they can, if you don't have it, you can't buy or sell. So I believe that in that area, that's where the technology will come in. Let's see. CBS show, Angel from Hell. Wow, they don't care. They're just going to put it out there, aren't they? Said mocks Christianity. Said this program is another attempt to distort the truth about Christianity. I didn't even. Well, it seems like, I don't know if it's the same show, but there's supposed to be some show that Satan decides to leave hell, which he's not in hell. He's not bound in hell. Okay, he's as a roaring lion going back and forth, to and fro, seeking whom he may devour. But in this show, he comes out of hell and puts it, and of course in the show he's this this suit wearing and a real suave looking, this handsome man. It may be this show they're talking about right here. I just wanted to mention it because that's the way our show, that's the way the TV is nowadays. With all that's on there, it's a bunch of junk, bunch of garbage. I can remember listening to, haven't in a while because hard. You can find them online in some cases, but Lester Roloff. I used to love to listen to Lester, and I still do when I can get a chance. If I can find recordings of, he was in a plane crash with some other people. I believe it was 81, 82. It was in the early 80s, and he went on to be, we thought he was a pilot, but something happened and they had a plane crash. but he was a fire and brimstone preacher. No ifs, ands, or buts. No, don't pass go. Don't collect 200, whatever. And he laid it out like it was, and he was down on the TV. I mean, he preached against that. Kind of idiot. You sit in front of the idiot box. Have you heard that saying before? And he was right. I mean, and that was back in the day in the 70s. When there was some, for the time period, questionable stuff that come out on television. For the time. Good grief. Did we ever think we would see some of the stuff that we're seeing now on TV? A long time ago when the ABC Family network brought all their shows and everything, thought, okay. But it's as worse as, basically you're getting what used to be HBO on your regular TV nowadays. Regular shows. ABC Family, a new kind of family, which means including transgender, sodomy, and all that garbage. So, and anyway, that that's the way the networks are going. As I said, we know who controls Hollywood, and even the name. What type of wood do Wiccans and Satanic priests and everything supposedly make their wands from? A stick of holly. Hollywood. Right there, it's in you. That's in your face right there. So, at any rate, let's move on here. Try to get through this here. And this is kind of a statement I could see been saying. It says, "What are you prepared for in 2016?" We were just talking about this a minute ago. Can you feel it in the atmosphere? Absolutely. Can I feel it? Can you sense it in your spirit? Absolutely. Can you recognize it in what people are saying? Yes. I think we all can. Everybody, you guys, I know you guys out there listening and read the stuff and look up. You guys are smart. You're grounded. You can research this stuff and find the truths that's going on. And no, you guys are not idiots. By no means. You guys are on top of things. And, but get ready. Do your research, because, it even said at the end of this that 2016 is shaping up to be a year like we have never seen before. So, guys, research, get in there, spread the word, try to help people, try to guide people. Most of all, we want to get them saved first and foremost. All this other stuff can come later. A new babe in Christ could not digest all the stuff that we've been talking about. They would be so overwhelmed that they just couldn't. Not hyping myself, guys. I know you guys are not hyping yourself. I'm just saying a new Christian would be crushed under the weight of all this information of stuff that's coming. Oh man, okay. Like I reported on this yesterday, Democrats in Georgia unveil a bill to seize certain guns and bans assault weapons. It's kind of odd that really you would see something like that coming out of one of the southern states. Typically we're supposed to be we're in the Bible Belt, typically pretty conservative, but this is in Georgia. We know they've got one that's in Congress that they put forth, the Democrats have put forth, that pretty much bans almost everything except like a single shot black powder rifle that the old style that you load with a ramrod and put powder in and stuff like that. They're still saying that that has a little chance to go through, so mainly people now are watching and looking after all the executive actions and orders that Obama's trying to push through, and they're trying to make these set in stone that when they leave they won't be able to be changed. I don't know if they can or not, or how they can actually do that, Because most of the Republicans are saying, hey, if we get elected, we'll reverse all this and get rid of all this. I don't know. They're politicians, either one. You guys know what I say. I'm not a Democrat, Republican, Libertarian. I'm a Christian. I want what God's will is. So, at any rate, Iraqi refugee granted U.S. residency charged with terrorism in Texas. Oh, so that's going on now. People that have been granted and given U.S., made this their home. All of a sudden they decide, well, we're going to have a jihad. Some was almost like saying, something, hey, we're getting ready to have a party. We're getting ready to have a jihad. They didn't even have to become a citizen. Could have just come in and, like every other one, through the border and through our stinking government that's bringing them over here. That's pretty close to, I think, the Breastone I reported from yesterday. Maybe a couple more here. More talk about the economy. 370% increase of able-bodied adults without dependents on food stamps. This says this is not 2008. This one is going to be much worse. And it warns one of the top economists in the world. That's what we were talking about earlier. That gas blowout in the San Fernando Valley, poison, because of the Los Angeles gas blowout of the ground. It's spreading poison. So sorry, I'm just trying to go through these as quick as I can. We're almost an hour. There's just so much. There's so much to, This is will the world bow down before Obama, king of the world? Investors Business Daily says it's quite possible, and if it happens, Obama will seek, and we've heard this before, he'll seek to bring the United States under United Nations authority. Says final players are prepping their roles for the Antichrist. We all know how that's going to come down. How that's the 10 kings and we all know that's coming very soon to a neighborhood near you. I saw this. I mentioned it the other day, but I'll go ahead and mention it since we're almost to the end here. Lawsuit calls to remove and like it has everywhere else. Lawsuit calls to remove "In God We Trust" from the dollar. Lawyer files suit on behalf of 41 atheists and claim they are substantially burdened by being forced to carry a religious statement. Oh, give me a break. Oh my goodness. See, some of these things I get a good laugh out of, believe it or not. Saying something as stupid as that. Am I calling these people stupid? Well, no, I tell you what. Atheists, I don't have to, because God's word said the fool in his heart has said that there is no God. There you go. That's it. Everybody knows the show X-Files. They brought it back for like a 6-episode short run, years. But when we was talking about Hollywood, how they shows do what we call predictive announcement. Well, this is what this is right here. It says what X-Files predictive announcement. I've not watched any of them, so I'm not sure which direction, if they're doing kind of like the old shows the way they did, or if they're doing more of the stuff that's more of the terrorist type stuff. But according to this, it's saying what will seem like an attack on America by terrorists or Russia, driven by well-oiled, well-armed, and multinational group of elites. What have we been talking about? Talking about all these people, all these like Russian troops, so foreign soldiers on our soil training for martial law, and of course the jihadist cells that have not been activated yet. So we've got that to deal with. We got, good grief, we've got so much to deal with. Hey, if all this hits at once, people, I'm gonna get serious for a minute, okay? This was the last piece that I was going to bring out. But if this happens, if something like that happens, and martial law is declared, and all of a sudden the foreign soldiers start overrunning towns everywhere, and we start seeing jihadists, terrorist cells start blowing themselves up and whatever they had, the U.S. is going to be in a bloodbath. It's going to be because of citizens like you and I that believe in our Second Amendment rights and will protect our families and our friends and use self-defense. I know none of us, I know you don't have murder or being a killer on your heart, that, but if it comes down to protecting your family and your friends and self-defense, then I believe that's what the Lord wants you. I don't think the Lord wants you standing there and tell your family, okay, let's all get in a line, and sit there and show them where you want to be shot, and just line up and give yourselves over to a slaughter. I could be wrong, but I've kind of worked that out and thought about that, and in prayer, basically kind of the same thing. Hey Lord, I'm not a killer, I'm not a murderer, but it comes down to it, and I have to protect a family member of mine or a friend or something, a brother and sister in Christ. Then have to do. Would I take pleasure in it? No, not at all. Not at all. But we just don't know what's coming 100%. I can say we kind of know what's coming, but the actual time frame of it can be changed, and stuff has been pushed forward probably several times, especially people like you and I that are talking about it, bringing it out. There's other watchmen, good men and women out there that are bringing stuff, and carry on, brothers and sisters. And there's probably stuff that, like I said, that was going to end up coming, but when it got reported on by the people and brought out, they had to change their tactic and had to postpone it and do it another way, or try to do it another way, or postpone it in the future. So keep on, people. Like I said, do your own research. I'm not saying it to be mean. I'm just saying do your own research and look and see if all these things, if what you can find, because a lot of it out there, if you just know where to find it, where to dig, where to look, because some of this information is just buried because they don't want you to know it. How in the world they got some of these news pieces through, don't know. They put them on, but they've buried them kind of on a web page or a different page that you might not even would look on there to see it. Because if there's stuff that's reported on goes against what the elite wants, most of the time that reporter's out of there, gone. Could be even a little bit worse than that. Remember all the bankers last year that died under mysterious circumstances, committed suicide. Well, it was like 50 or 60 bankers that were connected with the World Bank and all the large banking systems in the world. Supposedly all of them committed suicide. Hit or hit and run drivers, and the drivers can't be found. The car's never seen again. Well, this guy committed suicide by shooting himself in the back of the head 4 times. That kind of suicide. Yeah, right. But at any rate, we've been over an hour. I'm sorry, but there was more that got put in there from last night. Other news I wanted, and there, even with that, there's still some that I didn't even go over. But I don't want to wear anybody out. I just want to hit the high points of talking about some of the things that's going on. But at any rate, I'm not going to hold you guys any longer. I'm going to come on later on and probably do another preaching or teaching video, whatever the Lord wants me to do, whatever He wants me to say. But be vigilant. Be vigilant during these times. Keep an eye out for what's going on. Do your research, and be in much prayer for each other and for this nation as a whole. And remember, if you're saved, you're on your way to heaven, then don't be afraid. Don't let fear of this stuff get a hold of you, because that's a spirit. There's a spirit of fear, and you have power over that spirit. You can rebuke it and bind it, and you can cast it out, cast it away from you, not to come back. At any rate, this was Tim once again from the Word of Life Church news update, and we will see you in the next video. God bless each and every one of you.